Well, get ready for a fun family event to celebrate children, families in our community. The Greater Chattanooga chapter of Jack and Jill of America Incorporated is hosting Chattanooga Cuisine on Blanc. Dr. Yolanda Spraggins-Wilson, a member of that chapter, joins us now with more on this event. Yolanda, thank you so much for being here and representing Jack and Jill to tell me all about what's going on.
Thank you for having us. Well, we are pretty much having a family party with a purpose on Saturday, September 30th, from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Bessie Smith Hall. It is a white party. You can come fancy in your white or casual in your white. There will be games that the children can play. There will be a DJ for dancing, a photographer there to take pictures of the event and your family, as well as food featured by our own local chef, Andy, a different variety of foods for the kids, kid-friendly and adult-friendly as well.
Okay, so let's talk about this. This is something that you all came up with and said, you know, we want to do something in this community for family events. And I want to say in full disclosure that I'm associated with this organization. And you did this because you're saying that it's important because your focus is on children.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about, for people who aren't familiar with Jack and Jill, about the organization. And then you can tell us a little bit about the Greater Chattanooga chapter.
Well, Jack and Jill was founded in 1938 by some moms in Philadelphia who wanted to give their children greater exposure to civic, educational, and cultural events, as well as teaching them to be servants and leaders in the community. It has grown nationwide, and there are over 200 chapters in the U.S., and our local chapter was chartered in 2014 in Chattanooga, and we have worked really hard to teach our children service and to be involved in our local community. Our event will raise funds for our national foundation, which has a lot of community lot of partners. One of which is at the Boys and Girls Club, and that's a group we partner with locally as well, and that we do activities for them and some educational things for them as well.
So let's talk about this. We have some pictures up right now, Yolanda, and we're talking about the Boys and Girls Club, and that was one of the activities that Jack and Jill started that partnership shortly after you all were chartered. Yes. And you started with like the partnership and then the Christmas party and so many other things, and that has continued over the years. And talk about just like this partnership and what we're seeing here, and you know, it used to be called a Winter Wonderland, and just kind of the things that you all would do for the children there at the Boys and Girls Club.
So our first activity actually that we're going to do with the Boys and Girls Club will be on Halloween, and we'll do a trunk or treat for them and just decorate our cars, and we line up outside and have the children come and show off their costumes and pass out candy. And then the Christmas event is always a fun event that we look forward to, as well as the children. We have cookie decorating, face painting. We will have games for them, a story corner with books that they sit, and the kids love that part as well. But just really an afternoon of fun for them.
And one of the things too, in talking about those activities, there was also a picture up there, and it was of the Carol Robertson Day activity, one there. And so explain to people the significance of that. You all recently celebrated Carol Robertson Day, and just what that means and just the significance to the organization as a whole.
Well, Carol Robertson was one of the 4 young ladies who was killed in 1963 in the bombing at 16th Street Baptist Church. And our chapter went recently, this past Saturday, to the 16th Street Baptist Church to do a tour, an educational activity, as well as tour the Civil Rights Museum in Birmingham as well. That is something that we feel is important, that we always need to remember, you know, the sacrifices that our elders, our forefathers have made, and that Carol, you know, was sacrificed in a way, you know, in the struggle for us to all have equality in this country. And so we wanted our kids to remember that, and then to honor her memory as a member of Jack and Jill.
And really, teaching young people today, like you said, about those sacrifices that were made, that, you know, it wasn't always this easy for kids growing up, and the challenges that they had to face, and, you know, whether it be racism or whether it be, in Carol Robertson's case, the death with the 4 young girls there. Yeah. So really kind of teaching children history. So like you said, they don't forget history as well.
Now, especially since our children won't face the stark discrimination and racism that children back in the 50s and 60s did, where there was a clear line of demarcation between the races, much more clear. And so that they need to understand their history so that we don't allow things to be repeated.
And one of the things too, and also teaching kids, you know, when you think about Jack and Jill, Yolanda, how it's important to help others. And, you know, it's like maybe you don't realize how fortunate you are sometimes, but to really get out and to help others and to show, you know what, friendship and to show compassion and to establish a lot of times when they do this, like whether it's at the Bethlehem Center or the Boys and Girls Club, you know, you talk about how they establish, you know, and form bonds and relationship with the children there.
Yes, they really enjoy it. And I actually, now that we're talking about that, some of the children really, sometimes they don't enjoy the educational things, but they really enjoy the service projects. And we did a reading corner at Bethlehem Center where the children were actively, sorting books and cleaning up. I can't remember if they painted the room or not, but decorating the corner, those things they really enjoyed, because they knew that would be a place where other children who may not have access to books like our children may have, that they will have a place to go and to read and have books of all kinds.
And people often ask, they were like, okay, well, you know, Jack and Jill, and it's focused, you know, on the children. It's all, as you always say, that it's all about the children. But moms are what we call moms are the members.
Yes.
And so, you know, talk a little bit about that and how moms also realize the importance of service and giving back in the community.
I think as moms, we always, you know, that you do what moms do. You're focused on your children and making sure they have all these things that they need. But I think every mom's desire is to make sure that your child is a good citizen. And that means not being self-centered and not broadening your worldview, understanding that, you know, God has put us here to serve, and that's something that we need to remember as well, that it's not all about us. And I think that all of our moms, you know, have that same mission in mind, that, you know, not just for our children, but for all children, that we do these things. That, you know, it's easy in our culture to become very self-centered and, you know, like almost like a dance mom, that you cutthroat and you don't care about other children, but to be concerned about all children, not just your children, and not just the children in your circle.
And that's so important too. That's really important when you think about that, because Jack and Jill, like you said, you're out in so many different circles, whether your kids are doing their community service projects or whether they're also going to their conferences and conventions and different things like that, which is so important. So they're getting into those different circles as well.
And so I do want to mention that at every regional or national conference, there's always a service project involved. For the moms, that there's always, if we go to a regional conference or a national conference, there's always a local charity that is identified that we contribute to or do a service project for. And it's the same for our teens. When they go to their national conference, they always have a service project where they're actively involved in enriching the community that is in the host community for the convention.
And that's so important. And we want to remind people again, as we wrap up, Yolanda, about the activity that's coming up, and just tell people again, you know, how they can take part in this event and what it's all about.
You can, if you go to our Facebook page, there's a link for the event to buy tickets for the event, but it's Cuisine on Blanc by the Greater Chattanooga chapter of Jack and Jill, and it's a day party for families.
So it's early, it's not, you have to worry about it being
late. It's a day party for families with food, dancing, games, and lots of fun for the entire family.
Okay, so again, Yolanda, thank you so much for being here and sharing that information. We're going to make sure that everyone knows that and how they can take part in that event for Jack and Jill.